how to get signed with an agency or multiple agencies. Now, I want you to always be on high alert when it comes to agencies. The majority of agencies do not have your long-term best interest at heart. They are a business, they care about making money, and you are seen as a disposable pawn to them with a shelf life of maybe 2 to 8 years, maybe a little bit longer if you stay interested and don't end up with a drug problem or an eating disorder. I do not say these things to try and scare you. I want to be realistic with you. These are real things that happen in the industry. A lot of agents are mean to their models. They encourage them to have eating disorders. They encourage them to do drugs. They even provide them with the drugs, some of these agents. Again, I say some. There are some agents who really care, and more there are models who have been screwed over by agencies left and right who are now creating their own agencies to try and fix some of the problem. So do your research when it comes to these agencies and understand that if you need to leave them, that is not a bad thing. And you can also try and get work without agencies. Nowadays, with the power of the internet and social media, there is a lot more access to the clients directly. Agents like to gatekeep the clients and say that you shouldn't talk to them on your own and that they're all villains. But I've worked with a lot of clients outside of agencies and I don't have problems. But the clients that I've worked with the agencies, I've had lots of problems. I've dealt with sexual harassment. I've dealt with agencies going bankrupt. I've dealt with clients going bankrupt and never paying me and agents not caring. I've dealt with agents blacklisting me for speaking out against them and all of the illegal activity that they do. So agencies are not your best friend. They will act like they are your best friend, but please be aware that they are a business. Their main goal is to make money. And if you start messing with that, they will no longer care about you. Now, there are also great agents out there, again, so let's get started. Digitals, you always need digitals. The agency is going to want digitals or take digitals of you. There's more on digitals in Modelesque Toolkit, but you've already seen this slide many times by now. How to research agencies. So you want to Google them, of course. Google their name. Go to models.com and look up the different ratings and things. Look on their social media and see if they have the type of modeling that you want to be going out for. And look at the agency's website and see the kinds of things that they're putting out there. You also want to look at the location. So you want to make sure it's in a city that you either live or are willing to relocate to, because an agency, when they sign you, expect you to be in town and working most of the time. The look. So do they have models that look like you? If you've got a bunch of tattoos and not a single person on their board has tattoos, although they may sign you, they probably don't have your clients because they're not used to getting a bunch of tatted up models a bunch of work. So it may not be the best fit, even if they're willing to sign you. So you want to look into not only the models that they have, but the clients that they're posting on those social media. What kind of jobs are they actually booking? And when you are Googling their name, also look up the agency's name and then the word scam, the word lawsuit, and of course the word bankrupt. This will help you to avoid some of the issues, but like I said, a lot of these big agencies are not your best friend. They know exactly who are sexual harassers in this industry and they do nothing to stop it. They know exactly who's not paying on time and they do nothing to stop it. These agencies are not your friend. If you would like to have a business relationship with them, go right ahead. But understand, they are not your friend 99% of the time. Of course, there's always the exception of the good agents who exist. An open call. So when you want to get signed in an agency, you can show up to their scheduled open call. This is a time slot where the agency is willing to meet with new talent. You find this information either directly on their website or on their social media. To avoid red flags, scams, and issues, I would say make sure it is on their website and it is publicly available. This means that they're not trying to trick anybody. They're not lying about it. It's not coming from somebody's WhatsApp message. This information should be loud and clear and publicly available. what to wear to an open call. You want to wear form-fitting clothing, heels, and little hair and makeup. It basically should look like what you wear for digitals. And what to bring. If you have any photos, if you have a portfolio, put it on an iPad, print them out, bring them on your phone, bring them something to see what you can do and what you've done. Preferably, it's a tablet or printed out. Your phone is kind of small unless you got a giganto phone. And also bring a card or something that you can leave behind. So you want to at least print your own, even if you've never had an agency. You want something that you can leave behind that has a picture of your face, your name, your contact information, and your measurements. This way, they know exactly who you are and they aren't going to forget about you. They aren't going to, they have a sign-in sheet with your name, but other than that, they don't really have any information on you or anything about you. By having this leave behind, it will make sure that they are able to contact you again. They're able to look at what you look like in case they forgot, in case they met 50 new people that day. It can be really helpful. And you could literally print this out at your printer at home, or you could even put one photo. You don't have to put all 4 of these photos on there. And you could print it out at your local Kinko's for less than $5. So I highly suggest printing out a leave behind. Online submissions are another option for getting signed with an agency. You would again find these on Google. You would find their website. It should be on their website, this online submission. Otherwise, that's a red flag. You want to read and follow all of the directions. When you do not follow the directions or ignore them, that agency will see that you do not follow the basic bare instructions, and they will take that as a red flag when it comes to potentially signing you. If you can't follow simple directions about how to online submit, how can they trust you to send you to all of these jobs and castings on your own? Because most of modeling with an agency, you're doing everything on your own. The agency may send you an email with information, but you've got to understand that information. You've got to show up to those castings on time and follow the instructions and wear the correct clothing and bring your book and your cards and all this stuff that I've been teaching you. So they need to know that you're reliable and that you know how to read and follow directions. Use fresh digitals. Don't use 6-month-old digitals. Take some new ones. It is going to be the look that you currently have, and that is the best choice. And you want to include your best contact info. If you would like to email, you can do an email and you would include your measurements, relevant info, like what type of modeling you do or where you live, so recent digitals, or a link to your portfolio. Don't put all of the photos in the email. It'll either get bounced to spam or it won't send at all. Put a link, create a link somewhere. There are free websites that you could even do like an iCloud album and put a link to it, or a Google Photos album and put a link to it. Just put a link. Current contact information, and then any more links if you want to add. Maybe you've got a lot of followers on Instagram or something, so you want them to see that. On the right side, you see my example email. Everything that is in the bluish purple color are the things that you would change and fill into your situation. And everything in the black is just a basic template for you to start with. Of course, you can make this sound more like you, but you want to keep it real simple, real basic. We're not trying to become best friends with the agent in this email. We're just trying to show them that you are available and what you are available with, your measurements, your photos, and all of that stuff. Scouts. A scout is a person who works for or with an agency or agencies and approaches you in public or online offering you a meeting. This should never, ever, no, never, not going to happen, never cost money, ever. No fees, no contracts, no nothing. These scouts work for the agency. They get paid by the agency. The relationship is with the agency. And also, it should never require any type of nudity, ever. And if they are giving you a meeting, understand that scouts have pretty much no power when it comes to getting you signed. Most scouts are not agents, and they are not the ones deciding whether or not you will be signed to the agency, and they do not know whether or not you will work. They know what they've scouted before. They know what the agency is asking them for. It's not that they're clueless, but they cannot guarantee that you will get signed. So if a scout is over-promising you things, that is a red flag. They cannot promise you anything at all whatsoever. A referral. This is when someone who is not a scout, so they do not have this relationship with the agency, they don't have a contract with the agency, they don't have business cards with the agency, they are just a random person who somehow has a connection to the agency. It could be if there's an agent and let's say their husband is just somehow like a director or somebody and they meet you, they could refer you to their wife who then works at the agency or their husband who works at the agency. And that would be a referral. That person is not necessarily getting paid back if you get signed. They just happen to know somebody who knows somebody and they can get you a meeting. Again, they cannot guarantee you anything. They cannot guarantee that you will get signed. They cannot guarantee that you will make money. But there's somebody who can refer you. And this can also be other models. Some model who could be signed in an agency could say, hey, I have a friend, they want to be a model. Are you willing to see them? And they show their agent like a picture of you and the agent's like, yeah, okay, bring him in for a meeting. That is a referral. Also, try again. So if an agency doesn't sign you and you still want to get signed by that agency or any agency, go ahead and try again. Maybe every 4 to 5 months, even 6 months at a time, you would go in and try again. Because things are constantly changing in the modeling industry. The agent who didn't sign you could have gotten fired. A new agent with a new vision could have gotten hired. The market overall could have changed. The markets are constantly changing based on real life, based on politics, based on the economy. All of these things are constantly changing what they need. As you have seen more with Black Lives Matter, we have a lot of agents who normally would not hire diversity, would not sign diversity. All of a sudden, they want to sign diversity models because it is more in demand and it's getting booked more. So that market has changed. And we also seen that with the plus size market starting to change and there's more demand. We are even seeing entire divisions now dedicated to curve or plus size models. So the market is constantly changing and evolving. And we're also seeing things like more tattoos, more non-binary. Everything's always changing. Also, models quit. Models move on with their life. They get to the age where they've decided they no longer want to model, or they've been screwed over so many times they don't want to do it anymore. So a lot of models quit at some point in their life. And now there's a bunch of space on that board. It could have been that you looked great, but there were 5 other models who looked like you. And now those 5 models have either moved cities or they've gotten dropped or they've quit. And now there's a space for you. Also, the agency's clients may have changed. They may have obtained new clients that are your type of clients. And so now they feel they can get you work. So everything in the industry is always evolving. These agencies hopefully are always evolving. So you can always try again. When it comes to having multiple agencies, you need to look at the market and territory based on the first agency you have and what your contract says will help you determine how many agencies you can have and where you want to get them. I've had one in Los Angeles and one in New York at the same time, but I would not have one in New York and one in New Jersey at the same time because my agent is my tri-state agent. But if you only had a New York agent and you also lived in New Jersey, you could also have a New Jersey agent. So it's going to depend on a case-by-case basis, like most things in the modeling industry. When it comes to divisions, you could have multiple agencies. So in Los Angeles, we do separate by division. Not every city does that. But you could have a print agent, you could have another agent for talent, another agency for runway, another agency for commercial, because talent could just be your acting, while commercial is sometimes called talent. You could have one just for fit modeling, you could have one just for part modeling, or you could have one that does all of these things. And then there are mother agents and managers, and you can also have those. A mother agent will hopefully help you to get these other agencies, and same with a manager. And remember that mother agents and managers do take 10%. Most of the time that is taken out of the 20% being taken by your second agency. So your mother agency is your first agency. You go get signed at a second. The second agency gets you paid, takes 20% and gives 10 back to that mother. So you are still only paying 20%. It is not 30, it is 20, with 10 being split among the agencies. How to get help with those new agencies. So if you have one agent and you're looking to have multiple agents, even if your agent hasn't officially called themselves your mother agent and signed a contract saying that, you can go in and say, I would like you to become my mother agent. Or even without becoming your mother agent, they could choose to help set up those meetings just because they want to. You want to email or go in and ask your agent, let them know where you want to go, what city, what state, what country, what kind of modeling you hope to book so they can help to tell you. If you were to say, hey, I want to go to Miami and do a bunch of editorial modeling, they would be like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen because there's not a lot of editorial modeling in Miami. It's mostly swimwear. And Miami does have a lot of downtime compared to other cities when it comes to modeling because of how small of a market it is. And you may not know all those things. So by telling your agent what type of modeling you want to book, they can help to inform you about all of these things that you may not be fully knowledged up on. When you would like to go for those meetings. So if you're already going to a city on a vacation or something and you're going to have a few days where you would like to go see agents, go ahead and let them know so they can try and schedule those and set those up for you. And they know how urgent this is. If you're like, oh, well, I just hope someday to model in Mexico. Well, then they may take their time finding you the perfect agent. But if you're like, I would like to go to Mexico next year or this summer, then they're going to be a little bit quicker. And also they're going to tell that to the agents when they're setting up the meetings because it matters. So giving them all that information allows them to help you better. How you leave an agency. So when an agency is not getting you work, or they're being mean to you, or they're not protecting you enough and you feel it's time to leave, there are different ways that you could leave. Now, you could get dropped. That means the agency has decided to let you go. There have been times where I have decided I no longer like my agent and I trick them into dropping me because legally it's just easier than me trying to drop them. And if they think that they dropped me, they usually just let me go that day and I can go get a new agency the next day if I want to. But if I drop them and then go get an agency the next day, sometimes they'll come after you and try and claim your new money and say, well, we built your career, so we should get money off of all your clients. And I've watched them do these shady things. So I like to try and make them drop me rather than dropping them. But they could also drop you because you're not doing well or you're just not getting booked. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing or that you guys are fighting. It could just be that it's not working out. You can also ask to be released. So if it is not working out or you are mad or you don't like them or they've switched the agents and fired your favorites, you can decide to leave and hope that they don't put up a fight. You can ask. Some do put up a fight. Some will try and not let you leave. That's why I say I like getting dropped, and it's usually pretty easy to piss them off. All you got to do is say, you work for me. Do not ever say that unless you want to piss off your agent. If you say you work for me, they will be livid, like completely livid, and they will drop you immediately. Also, if the agency goes bankrupt, you could end up leaving an agency. I've had 2 different agents go bankrupt in my life. And I left them moments before they were going bankrupt because I could feel that there were problems. So I decided to leave, but I knew models who stuck around. And then when the agency went bankrupt, they didn't get paid for the last month or 2 or even 3 months of jobs that they had done because the agency didn't warn them about the bankruptcy. So that if you feel that your agency is not doing well, I do suggest leaving before they go bankrupt because you will get screwed over in the process. Poaching. So when an agent leaves, whether they get fired or they quit, and they ask a model to follow them into their new business. So maybe they're going to submit on their own as like a manager. Maybe they're going to create their own agency, or maybe they're going to go get hired somewhere else. This is also when an agent from another agency that you have never been signed with, you have never worked with, tries to get you to leave your current agent for them. So both situations are called poaching. And it's somewhat of a big deal legally, so you want to be very careful with this. If an agent is to get fired from an agency and then go work at a new agency and try and take you from agency A to agency B with them, and agency A is able to prove anything in emails or if they find text messages or whatever, they could sue the agent and potentially you for leaving in that way and following the agent. They can claim that you're trying to steal their clients and you're trying to steal their profits. Everything in the industry is a case-by-case basis. So this is going to depend on the agency A, agency B, the agent involved, whether or not they quit or got fired. There was once this agent who was at a big agency and decided to leave to go to another agency that they were helping to co-found. And they just left one night. Like, they were working one day and then they quit that night, and they took 2 agents with them from that agency. And they also took a bunch of the models. And agency A, literally for months and years after that, was trying to go after them legally and get that agent and all of the models in court and try and sue them for leaving in the way they did. So if you are going to get poached, you want to be really careful about it. This is your career. And if you want to follow your agent when they get fired, I completely understand and agree with that. But legally, it can be messy. So make sure you're not sloppy about it. Don't go telling people about it. If you're going to do sneaky things, be sneaky about them. I'm not encouraging you to do the sneaky things, but I'm telling you, if you're going to do the sneaky things, don't be sloppy about it. Don't get caught, because you could get in a lot of legal trouble. But I'm not suggesting that you do it. Okay, so that is everything you need to know for now about how to get an agency. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if any of this has helped you, I would love to hear about it in email or share publicly with the hashtag Modelesque Mindset. And as always, if you would like to book a virtual one-on-one, the link is below.